Thank you very much. Our inspiration this morning is coming from Walter Nardelli. I will let him. Hopefully you've had a chance to finish breakfast.
So basically, when I worked in education, I used to like to read to the students a lot because it was always about things and lessons you could learn, and then we discussed it afterwards. And so I kind of found a story that I liked of that. Not that we're going to discuss it, but just the idea if you can think about the meaning and what the lesson is. So the story is called The Two Frogs. A group of frogs was traveling through the woods, and two of them fell into a deep pit. When the other frogs saw how deep the pit was, they told the two frogs that they were as good as dead. The two frogs ignored the comments and tried to jump out of the pit with all their might. The other frogs kept telling them to stop, that they were as good as dead. Finally, one of the frogs took heed to what the other frogs were saying and gave up. He fell down and died. I was going to say that's the end, but yeah.
What a story. Inspiration.
The other frog continued to jump as hard as he could. Once again, the crowd of frogs yelled at him to stop the pain and just die. He jumped even harder and finally made it out. When he got out, the other frog said, "Did you not hear us?" The frog explained to them that he was deaf. He thought they were encouraging him the entire time. So the moral is there is power of life and death in the tongue. An encouraging word to someone who is down can lift them up and help them make it through the day. So be careful of what you say. Speak life to those who cross your path. Very nice. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Walter. I don't know about other people on the screen. I'm not hearing as well. Okay, I'm getting that from others too. So I don't think the owl is picking up as clearly. So I'm just for everyone else going forward, maybe your positioning.
You need to project more, you're saying?
Another table.
Yes.
All right, I'll remember that.
Okay, and our Rotary cog this morning is from Chris Stewart. Thank you, Armand.
You're welcome. Tell me if this is any better.
Oh, way better. Way better. Thank you.
How about now?
I can't see what you're doing. So it's probably good.
Knocked off again.
Well, I'm trying to figure out.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Ready?
All right, so my Rotary Cog minute or two is about what Rotary International is doing in Ukraine. Less than 60 hours after the Russians invaded Ukraine, Rotary clubs throughout Ukraine, Poland, Hungary, and other surrounding countries put together a site where people from Ukraine could find free rail, bus, and airplane tickets to get out of there. They also provided in Poland, there are over 111 clubs. They provided places for people to live, to work. They fed them, they clothed them, they gave them shelter. And the Ukraine has 62 Rotary clubs. So they've all formed these great packs of helping one another. And even Belarus, which is on the opposite end of the spectrum, has Rotary clubs that are actually helping. So I thought that was really great, more inspiration than anything, but it's a Rotary Cog minute. I just thought that was really great.
Thank you, Chris, so much. And we can put a link to that. I'll put a link in the minutes. And if anyone is interested in learning more about that or contributing to that, that will be in the link. Thank you, Chris. Okay, and it is with great pleasure that I introduce today's speaker, Michael Carrier is our District 7850 governor. And I have had the pleasure of meeting with him once a month over the last 9 months, I guess it is. And when I read his bio, of course, there were several things I didn't really know about Mike. And as I read it, I thought, oh, that explains that. Oh, that explains that. So without further ado, I will read Mike's bio. And just thank you so much, Mike, for being here today. I'm sorry that I'm not there in person because I was counting on giving you that hug, but that will have to wait. So anyway, Mike first joined the Ketchum Sun Valley Rotary Club in the early 1980s. When he moved to Ramsey, New Jersey in May 2001, he rejoined as a member of the Bergen Highlands Ramsey Rotary Club, where he served as its president in 2006 to 2007. He then served for 3 years as an assistant governor in District 7490, retiring to New Hampshire in 2010. Mike transferred his membership to the Plymouth Rotary Club and served as its president in 2012-2013. In 2018, he was first appointed an assistant governor and is currently serving District 7850 as district governor. Woohoo! That's us, guys. Born and raised in Pasadena, California, Mike attended the United States Air Force Academy, earning a BS degree in political science. Following graduation, he served on active duty for 5 years with various intelligence organizations in Dayton, Ohio, and Karamursal, Turkey. In September 1974, he began studies at Princeton Theological Seminary, where he earned a Master of Divinity and upon graduation was awarded a fellowship to study Reformation history in Edinburgh, Scotland. Ordained to ministry in the Presbyterian Church, USA, Mike has served congregations in Scotland, New Jersey, California, Colorado, and New Hampshire, as well as serving as the Rocky Mountain Regional Director for Church World Service, the international relief and development arm of the National Council of Churches. Mike and his wife, Linda, live in Camden, New Hampshire. They have 2 sons, Chad, who lives and works in Berlin, Germany, and Jared, who lives and works in Denver, Colorado. And Mike, I would have to say that one of the things that I have admired the most about you is your ever effervescent personality and your always, we can do this attitude. So thank you for your leadership this year and welcome to our club. And I look forward to hearing what you have to share with us.
Thanks. Yeah. Well, this is one of those mornings where we're figuring it out, I think, as we go. I don't know where we stand, Rick, with anything. We're at 0. Okay. One of the things, Leslie, and I may not have mentioned this, that I've been doing with clubs. I'm down here. There I am.
Actually, I think we can go back here.
Is getting a group picture. You know, all the clubs I've been able to visit in person throughout this year, we've taken time to just gather quickly, shoot a picture, and then get on with it. Gives Rick maybe a little more time to play with the computer. If you all are game for that, and if we gather here, then we can get perhaps the people behind us, which we've done at Randolph Sunrise. We're able to bring in people who are on the screen at that location. So if you're game, come on up and let's do it first, because we're still working through our technical difficulties. We'll get the picture. Everybody on Zoom, you're going to need to smile at some point.
That is not a problem.
Good.
Except you're all right.
Except for right in front of the thing.
Yeah, can you all get up by the banners?
There we, oh, they show up as well. There you go. Can you see? Okay, we've got
Yeah.
from, the banner all the way across. And everybody's in. We get Rick. We're gonna need to get you in. We got people on the screen. Lovely. Okay, we're gonna get 10 seconds.
Do you wanna
Gives
close that
time to
curtain?
run?
Do you want
and
to
kneel
close
down.
that
Hey, Mike,
curtain so that you don't have the bright?
Yeah, Leslie.
just wanted to let you know that from our perspective, your backs are lovely. That's all we can see.
Oh, well, because of the owl
Because of
being
this.
where it is. Okay,
Exactly.
in the picture and you'll get a copy.
We can
Make
see
sure-
all of
make sure
you.
the owl can see.
Okay, and
It's not a
go.
number.
3,
2,
2,
1,
1.
Rotary. Let me do one more just to make sure. All right, here we go again. 10 seconds. Let me move slightly that way. There we go. Okay. Boom. Everybody smiling up there?
Absolutely.
Okay, here we go.
Rotary.
2, 1. Rotary.
Rotary.
All right. Thank you all for indulging. It'll be up on the district Facebook page shortly.
Thanks, Mike. That's a great idea.
Yeah, it's a great way to sort of record how the year has been going. Pardon me?
I'm having some luck. I just have to.
Ooh, we're having luck. That is the preferred statement.
Still
rather
gonna
than
take a minute.
We're going nowhere. Let me just, while Rick is still doing this, and kudos to this guy for staying, persevering through this. Maybe we'll kind of flip, if we get the PowerPoint up, the very end of it is me saying to all of you, hey, questions, what's going on? Is there things you need from me? Because my role as district governor is to absolutely support you all through this year, Leslie, and trying to make sure you have what you need, if we can make it happen, for anything to make your club successful, to accomplish what you want to accomplish, and the district can get behind and help support and make that happen, then that's my reason for existing for this year. So I would just say, why don't we chat just for a couple of minutes about what you've been doing and what's coming up, and think about whether there's a way the district can assist. Now, the first thing we did as a district is get Sally trained, right? To get ready for next year. And that's one of the major roles that district does for clubs, is provide training, not just for incoming presidents, but we are having a big training event on April 23rd, advance notice, where we will be inviting people who are chairs of committees like foundation, membership, public image, and so on and so forth, to come. Normally, we did this in Lindenville at a gathering. Those of you remember back in those days when we used to meet and have those trainings, but we're going to be doing it virtually on Saturday morning from 9 to about 10:30 to get everybody ready for next year, or the people in those roles today are continuing even better at what they do. So watch for that. It'll come through and everybody will see it. But that's one of the main things we also try to do to help support clubs, is make sure everybody, as best as we can, knows how to be the best chair of a committee, working to accomplish what we want to do. So stop there. Anything?
Mike,
Yeah.
could you stand maybe by the,
Oh.
that way the people at home can see you also, and you can see us and the stream?
How's my position now?
I think it's better.
Better.
Better?
Better.
Okay, yeah, just yell at me. I'm used to it. Mike, move left, move right. Okay. Tell me about what's going to be happening for you all on the calendar between now and the end of this Rotary year before Sally steps in. Do you have stuff planned? And
Easter egg hunt.
okay, and that was going to be on the Saturday before or week before? Saturday before. Out here?
No, in school grounds.
Oh, okay.
Big deal. It's hundreds of kids
Neat.
and parents.
Okay. Now, who goes and hides all those eggs?
Yes.
All of you get to go hide the eggs. That's wonderful.
We do it by age group, so that
Yeah,
1 and 2 year olds are separated from 3 and 4 year olds.
yeah, yeah. Because as a 10-year-old, I would have grabbed everybody's Easter egg. Yeah. Yeah, you know me well.
We don't
Okay.
let adults grab them.
Right, exactly. And that's just a free thing for everybody to come and enjoy and so forth. And are the eggs or do you have stuff in plastic?
Plastic,
Stuff in them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our
So we
meeting,
also-
So you have to prepare those ahead of time.
our meeting the Thursday before that will be stuffing eggs.
All right, absolutely great. All right.
Whenever
fantastic.
you're ready, I think.
Are we ready?
Yeah, I think so. We'll try it.
Well, bring it up, brother. Ooh, here it comes. Oh, look at that. Yeah, hit the slide there. Oh, look at that. Okay, we are in business. Can you all who are on the Zoomy see that?
Yes, we can.
All right, okay, we are in good shape. Fantastic. So I appreciate this opportunity, obviously, to be able to finally, we found a date and a time when you were first meeting again in person, which is what I mean, I've done a lot of Zoom, as you can imagine, but now that we're kind of where we are, it's reasonable to think we might be able to get some in-person stuff going. So I really appreciate this and thank Leslie for working with me to find a date that I could go to Stowe last night, right next door, and then be here for this morning. So it's perfect, absolutely perfect. And I don't know about you all, but every time we have a chance to talk with anybody about this organization we are a part of, I mean, not, someone said this Rotary is the premier, and I love that word, the premier humanitarian and peace-building organization in the world that allows people just like you and me. I mean, we don't, we're not elected to high office. No, we're the folks in the trenches to some extent, to engage in projects and interactions that literally change people's lives. And I just think it's an honor to be a part of this organization. And so let's get on to talk a little bit about high level kind of Rotary stuff. And hopefully it won't bore you. Next slide, please, Rick. So this is our vision statement as an organization. Part of what allows us to be who we are in the world is having kind of a vision about the world we want, right? So a vision statement, as within the organization, says, hey, this is the way we want the world to be. So in this vision statement, and I love these 4 words that they have jumping out at us, together people create change. And we know that to be true. You've got 100 stories or more about your life in Rotary and how this club has helped to change people's lives for good. I appreciate the fact they did not put a period after change. They went ahead to acknowledge that it happens across the globe. Yes, absolutely. Happens primarily in our communities where we all literally work every single day. And as we do all of that work, it ends up changing us. We become better neighbors, we become better citizens, we become better friends with people. We just become better human beings. I think when you get in and you serve and you roll up your sleeves, you end up being changed. As we all know, vision statements are up there. So how do you get a vision statement down into the trenches where it will do some good in the daily tumble of life? So they continued, this group of people all over the world, they called to form this statement, said, let's develop a strategic plan or action plan that helps us focus more on what we're doing day in and day out. So the first priority was, next slide, Rick, thanks. There it is. Increase our impact. Absolutely. If we're not trying to reach more and more people with what we're doing and include more people in the effort that we make, then what's the point? We don't want to say, oh, we're going to cut it off at 50 people we're helping. That's all we're going to do. No, we want to increase our impact as much as we can. And sometimes that means, and maybe a lot of you in this club do with your projects, involve other people in the community who can be good partners, who share some of our same values to help do that so that our impact and our reach is even greater. Next slide, please. Just to say that impact, you never know when your club is going to do something that turns the world upside down. Think for a moment of that club in the Philippines 40 plus years ago. a guy comes in and says, you know what, we got a problem with polio. And not only here, but it really is absolutely everywhere. And now, 40 years later, we're 99.9. I think we've got 6 cases so far this year. It's just a few, but we're close. We are, as the ad says, we are literally this close. So thank you all for your support for the Polio Plus program. We are going to get there. It's a commitment to the world's children. We're going to get it done. And hopefully by 2026, it will be gone. But that was a great opportunity for us to show how you can create impact by a simple club saying we can do, we can reach beyond. So expanding our reach, that's part of what that's all about. But being able to do that includes getting more people on board. Thank you very much for coming. Not only adding people to our Rotary family, because I grew up in a house where it was, hey, many hands make light work. So my brothers and I would get up Saturday morning, go pick up leaves in the front yard. But I'd like to change that a little bit. More people means we do more good in the world. So expanding our reach to include more and more people within that circle. And Shekhar Mehta, our current president, challenges, next slide, please, as we came into this year, to think about growing Rotary with each one of us, as this slide shows, bringing one into the Rotary family. If somehow that magical, equation worked, we would double and get us above that 1.2 million that we've been sitting at. And I've gone around to clubs. I've said, it's been 10 years. And somebody always goes, no, Mike, it's been 15. No, it's been 20. It's been too long that we've been at 1.2. And I know we've added in Rotaractors now, which is great. They're on equal footing with regular Rotary Club Rotarians, which has pushed that up to close to 1.4. But still, in our regular Rotary life, keeping this as a goal would be fantastic. Next slide, please. Thanks, Rick. So we bring people in, but part of our problem is there's a circular door out there that folks are heading out. And we bring in 100,000 or more people, but 100,000 or more go out that back door. So one of the ways we could get our numbers up, obviously, is to shut the back door, not lock them in, but check with them. Are we delivering on the promise we made to you when you came into Rotary? Are we using your skills, your passions? Are you feeling like you're making a contribution? Are you valued? Beginning of this year, I challenged all presidents at some point in the year with a forum, with a survey. Get out and check in with your members. Make sure you know that they feel valued and that they are engaged. That's the way we're going to enhance that participant engagement, is we really pay attention. I was at a speech contest. I started the day yesterday at Lincoln Woodstock with their speech contest, and one of the folks came up to me from a club and said, Mike, we had not seen, because of COVID and Zoom, 11 of our members had just kind of drifted away a bit. And she said, I got on the phone last week and I called them all just to say, we've missed you. I'm sorry I hadn't called earlier, but how are you? Are you doing okay? We'd love to have you reconnect whenever you're feeling comfortable. By the way, the speech contest is this coming week. We're gathering at the Woodstock Inn. If you're available and want to come, of course. 8 of them showed up just because of that simple call. Somebody saying, we missed you and we care about you. And that we just, we just sometimes forget, don't we, in the rush of life. Increasing that engagement is critical. Next slide, please. And finally, that strategic plan said, look, we've got to be an organization that's flexible and can adapt no matter what comes our way. And who knew when they did this, 5 years ago or whatever, that we would get to March 2020 and either we're going to do this or we were going to die as an organization. But we rose to the occasion. We figured out how to do stuff. We all learned a word called Zoom that perhaps we had never known before or experienced. And we've been figuring out how to still do projects, how to still do meetings effectively, how to train people, how to do stuff and be flexible and adaptable. And I think part of the reason, well, one of the good things about this experience, silver lining to me, is we know we can do it now. You know, so no matter what comes our way next, and there'll be a next, I mean, it's life. We know that we will be able to figure out a way. I think we'll have confidence going into it. May not immediately know, but we know, keep at it because we'll figure this out. So one of the ways we've also been able to do this is because, next slide, Rick, our core values remain constant as an organization. You know, throw anything our way, these 5 core values kind of are the keel on the ship, keeping us from getting blown over, you know, helping us go true and steady. Fellowship, integrity, diversity, service, and leadership. And I like to think when our clubs are thinking about things to do, organize a project or an event, you take it like the Jell-O and throw it against that screen. And if it sticks to one or more of those 5, you know you're on the right track. If it doesn't, then maybe you need to think, is this something we really want to get involved in and do? Go back to the drawing boards. Make sure it's in line with our basic core values. So that takes us into our current situation. Next slide, please. And this year's theme, yay, that Shaker Mehta chose, which I absolutely love, serve to change lives. I think it's the core of that vision statement. It puts it into this marching orders. It's active. It tells why we exist and what we're about. So you all have gotten your theme pins, I hope. Yeah. Right, Leslie?
Not yet.
Now that we're back together again, she'll dive into her backpack and
She
she'll bring
will.
up all your theme pins. So she can live heartily the next 3 months in the Serve to Change Lives world before we begin to imagine Rotary with our new president, Jennifer Jones. Anyway, I love this. Sometimes governors have had their own little, theme for the year. Eric had teamwork, and Larry had Ignite Your Passion, and Richard, I think, was synergy, and we've had Jay with sustainability, because he's big on youth. So you start young and you grow Rotarians their whole life. When I saw this, I said, no. This is absolutely says it all to me. So anyway, let me share with you quickly. We'll take a journey. Do I have time? I hope so. Yeah. What time? Okay. Just give me the mic. So I want to take you on a journey of an experience I had as a Rotarian, and hopefully you and I have many of these kinds of experiences where you kind of get it. It's a Rotary moment, and aha, kind of like, yeah, now I see what we're about as an organization. This was one of them for me. Back in 2006, when I was president of the club in New Jersey, we had connections with the club in Plattsburgh. And that club in Plattsburgh had been doing work in Nicaragua for a number of years, built relationships down there. And apparently the Bishop of Nicaragua had come to them, of Managua, not of Managua had come to them and said, look, we had sent health workers up into this rural area north of Managua to do a health check on kids. And we discovered that children in this rural community, 80% of them had fecal material in their mouths because the sanitation was just horrible. So he said, knowing that one of our areas of focus is water, sanitation, hygiene, came and said, hey, Rotarians, is there something you can do to help us, to tackle this problem? So we put together between our club, the club in Plattsburgh, the Managua Rotary Club, our districts and so forth, put together a program to put in 150 latrines into this area to try to tackle that issue. Now, one of the things you got to do for the foundation, because we are a 4-star charity rating, again, by Navigator. So thank you all for your contributions and support of the foundation. It's the muscle behind what we do. So you've got to go and check. You've got to see that grant is being administered appropriately. Things are happening the way you had planned them. It's going correctly. So we put together a team to go down and assess, take a look. How's it going? So we could report back to the foundation. So a group of us from those 2 clubs got together, a group being 4, and flew down, next slide, from Liberty, Newark, into Nicaragua, to Managua, to do an on-the-ground assessment. Sorry for it is out of focus, not your eyes. But anyway, to actually do the work. Next slide, please. So the first thing that happened as we were getting ready the next morning to head out to start our kind of wandering through the community to take a look. Before we did that, folks in town, Rotarians said, look, there is a school here in Managua called Paul Harris School, of all things. And the bathroom situation there is not good. And because you're working on a sanitation project and thinking about next things, maybe would you go look and see whether you could maybe include that in a future project of some kind? So we said, absolutely, we'll start there. So this is us outside Paul Harris School that morning. And the team is Marcia on the left. She is a dynamic young woman from the Managua Rotary Club. And then Bonnie Black in the red trousers. She's now from Plattsburgh, a past district governor. She became a district governor after we did this. Marty Mannix, also from Plattsburgh, behind her. Karen Amy turned in and talked. She was my partner from my club in New Jersey. And then Mauricio on the right was the project administrator for the grant and oversaw the project. So anyway, we start, next slide, please. We start walking in to head back to where the bathrooms are. The principal of the school is the lady on the left. She'd been there about 30 years, greatly loved by everybody in the community. Kids loved her, obviously, the way they flocked around her and so forth. So she's guiding us back to take a look. But as we walk back there, over our left shoulder, we noticed this. Rick, next slide. They had begun, a Rotary Club had begun to add another 2-classroom building to the complex there at the school. Ran out of money. And we were looking at that. Next slide, please. Looking at that, stuff was already starting to grow up. It had been sitting there a little while, just like that. No, it's not. No, it's not why we're here. But it kind of lodged in the back of our minds as we were walking on back. Next slide. So here we are. Marcia is at the hand wash station, just outside the bathroom area. One toilet for boys, one for girls, and she's leaning up. Next slide, against the niñas. This is the girls' bathroom, and the boys is just off to the left. Neither of them really worked because the line was clogged heading out to the sewer in the street. Probably roots growing from trees got in. Happened in my house as a kid and stuff, so I understand it well. But anyway, so we say, hey, okay, lots of notes taken. Okay, let's see what we can do. Next slide. This is what the school looked like when the buildings were done and completed. As I said, 2 classrooms in each of those buildings and so forth. So really nice and pretty, and a good playground out there to the right, unfolding for kids to be in. So we knew what the idea was for this building. Next slide, please. That night we went to the Rotary Club, and as you guys know, if you visit clubs, it's awesome. You get to exchange banners, of course. We exchanged photos of our club because, of course, I was taking photos. So we exchanged photos. We just talked about how great it was to team up like this on projects like this, and hoped we could do more. So it was a great evening to be with Rotarians in Managua. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is what we're hunting for. The great hunters out in the backcountry looking for latrines. Exciting work to do, right? But this is what it is. And basically, and this is the key part, when you go in and develop a project, if at all possible, use local resources, right? Local labor, so you build up that local economy. So this was designed because those kinds of materials were easily available to be able to build these latrines. And we had local people digging and prepare set in place. So this is our holy grail as we go about looking. Next. There she is. And she is so typical of the people we encountered as we were wandering through this community. She was so proud of her latrine, the difference it made to her family. She wanted us to see how clean they kept it and so on and so forth, big smile on her face, just so glad for this opportunity that came to her. Next slide, please. And we also ran into this guy a little bit later on down the road. He was really funny. I didn't understand a lot about what he said because his Spanish was just rolling like crazy, but you could tell it was really good. He was a wise guy in the best sense and so forth. And while we were standing there outside his family's latrine, somebody in the crowd in Spanish yells out, "Sit on the throne." Next slide. So he throws open the door and goes in and sits down with this great smile on his face. And to me, that's one of those pictures worth 1,000 words pictures. He was just so happy for what this meant to him. And that was the story over and over again. Next slide, please. As we continued to walk through the area, came across another school. It wasn't open that day, but we took a look, next slide, and determined that their bathroom situation was worse than what was Paul Harris. So if we're going to do maybe something, we took some notes on this one as well in case a project could be built later on. Next slide. You got to watch where you're walking at any given time in the backcountry of Nicaragua. This is like the 405 out of San Diego. Everything's coming at you in fast and noisy fashion. They've been down at a river watering the cattle, drive them right back up through the middle of everything. We were happy to move aside. Just a little color of life in rural Nicaragua. Next slide, please. So we wrapped up our assessment, and even though we didn't see all of them, we saw a vast majority. Out of everything we saw, only 2 were not being used properly. The family thought they needed a storage shed over a new latrine, and we're still using their old one. The guy, the sort of village elder who was walking with us, assured us that by tomorrow that would be corrected. So anyway, we could give a good report back to the foundation about what we saw and everything that was happening, but that Paul Harris School building, right, kind of nagged on us after we got back home. You may be aware the foundation does not do bricks and mortar. We don't build buildings, but once they're built, we can often, whether it's a hospital, school, anything like that, we can go in and do all kinds of good stuff in there, computers and libraries and desks and medical equipment. We do that all the time. So if we were going to finish that building, we needed to go outside the kind of grant channel and just go to clubs like yours. Here I am begging, you got any spare cash that you could throw at this project? Because we want to go down and finish this building. Having a Paul Harris School in an unfinished building, just like, no. Just under 12,000 to finish that whole project. We got the money from people just like you. We got back on a plane again, organized the workforce down in Managua. Next slide, please, Rick. And when we arrived, they were already up and running and that kind of a thing. You do not want me, trying to do anything skillful on a work site. I did not get those genes. My younger brother did, but I can do stuff like haul stuff, go get stuff, lift stuff up. Other direction. Send me one more. There it is. Really skilled guys doing their work. Next slide. So one of my jobs was to, if we got a next slide, it was to pass the metal roof sheeting up to the guy who then would attach it to the steel beams they already had in place. So I could do stuff like that to help the project along. Next slide, Rick, if you would. Karen was in charge of the painting crew. We had young people with us on this trip, which was awesome. So as soon as the area was prepared, they would get in there and start painting to get it ready as we moved along. And Karen, hi everybody. Karen's foot right there on the tile. I'll tell you, watch these guys. I don't know if any of you lay tile or no, or it was magic to watch them. I mean, they were artists, the way they laid that tile in and created that to make that all work. I just enjoyed every minute watching them and going and getting them what they needed. But it was wonderful. Yeah, ditched the 40-minute limit. Oh, we've got you disappearing on Zoom because we've gone over 40 minutes.
We're still on.
Okay.
Do you have more slides?
Yeah,
Okay. well, I got five.
Not many.
I don't know what happened to them.
yeah. They disappeared on us. Anyway, what you will see if you were there is the outside of that building, beginning to that blue and white, which is typical of the school and colors they use that you saw. So they were able to get in and we got the build outside the building painted. When we left, the only thing that was left to do, they're still working on putting the kind of rebar over windows and then creating secure doors to be able to make sure the buildings were secure and that kind of a thing. But we got pictures later on. There you go. That's my cue to start passing some extra pictures around to everybody to look at of that project and visit. So we got pictures that showed it had all been completed beautifully and wonderfully. And my slide would, oh, forward, please. Yoo-hoo. There it is. Yep, there they go. That's the building being finished. And the final one is the end product. Yay, there it is. The kids in the classroom. This was taken while I was there in one of those other up and running classrooms. I love to go in. They love to have us come in and interact with the kids, young people. It was just a lot of fun and so forth. But to me, this is why we do what we do, because we're giving these kids a chance to just grow into being all that they can be. Who knows what they will grow into? You know, the doctor that discovers, you know, cures for cancer of some kind. You know, government people who, you know, serve their people well. You just never know what these children can be, and it's giving them that opportunity that to me is so important. Next slide, please. So we already started to talk a little bit about what are your hopes and dreams for changing lives here. I think, again, that's kind of our business. So that's kind of what we're always thinking about as clubs. What can we be working on next? What can we do? How can we improve what we're already doing? I think clubs often, we get it. Do you have a signature event that you do that you're known for?
We used to. We had a ski challenge, but we don't do that now.
Yeah.
So we're pivoting a little
Yes.
bit and supporting a 5K run, a competitive run in the town.
Wonderful.
Maybe senior citizens dinner.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's another thing you're known for?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the Easter egg hunt as well.
And, okay, so you got a number of signature events, which is really great. If you talk to PI, public image people have said, build on those signature events, okay? Sometimes you're gonna have them saying, we know how to do this, so this is how we do it. Always, I mean, maybe you do. On the back side of it, you sit down, you say, how could we have made this better? Who else could we have included? How can we increase our impact and extend our reach, which is what we want to do. So next we can walk through a couple of them. Okay, next one. Oh, I wanted to one back. I wanted to show this picture. One of the things we get about 4 years of training to become governors. You start when you're a child out of the cradle, it feels like it, and finally you get here. And one of the last training event just before we become governors is called the International Assembly, and that's where they bring all 500 plus governors from around the world to, and it used to be in San Diego. My year when I was coming in was going to be switched to Orlando, Florida. COVID hits. Nope, we have to do it virtually. So we had a virtual International Assembly. But one of the things that happens at International Assembly, you have your 10 seconds of fame. You run out on a stage and you shake hands with the incoming president and his partner who might be there, or next year it'll be Jennifer and her partner. But you go for camera and then off you go and the next person runs out. They managed to develop a virtual photo booth so that I would have my picture with President Shaker and Rashi. So here I am sitting in Campton, New Hampshire. I'm not as adept as Rick is this, but I still could figure it out. Took a picture and then you upload it and it comes in and boom, gets inserted right behind Rashi's shoulder. I thought they should have an algorithm at that moment that has her go, ah, for some, guy lurking over her back shoulder. I thought, oh man, that would be awesome if they did that. But anyway, as the James Taylor might tell us this morning, or Carol King, I'm just, a call away. I mean, I hope Leslie feels that. I hope your club will come to understand that. That's how you find me. Next one, and I think that's the last one. And we talked a little bit about what's on your mind and so forth. The magic hour, 20 after. I'll stop unless there's something somebody wants to ask.
I
Or you
just
can
have a
talk to me
comment.
afterwards. Yes.
I just have a comment. I
Sure.
saw you on the pets. Zoom does not do you credit. I just want to say that. You're way more dynamic than Zoom lets you be.
Okay, thank you. Thanks. Yeah. Well, in person just does so much. And we were chatting earlier about, it was great training and stuff that Sally got. But the one component that's often so important, and you know this, because you've gone to pets, is sitting there with others in those informal conversations and so forth. You get new ideas, and the room, to be in a room full of 300 to 400 Rotarians, I mean, it's just like, you walk out like, right. So being with all of you adds to that. Yes, sir.
So
Yeah.
is there any format where, say, Rotary clubs from all over share kind of some of their best things they've done, projects or fundraisers or things
Yep.
like that,
Yep.
rather than trying to invent the wheel every single?
Right. In your house of friendship, that was part of your pets, there are sections of that where clubs loaded in all their projects, fun things that they wanted to share with people. So that is one place where, and you get the benefit of 7 districts putting in their stuff at that point. So
Is
Sally,
that on RI? Is that on RI's website?
no, it was a part of the
district.
Northeast Pets website. And if you want access to that, I can send you a link.
Okay.
Potentially. I can send it, I probably have her email, not
Yeah,
yours, but I can send it. This is just, House of Friendship Northeast Pets or something like that. And .org, of course. And then boom, and then you're in there and you can search around and take a look at what people are doing. We sent in, we have, as you all know, because you read it first thing when it comes into your mailbox, the district newsletter. And in the district newsletter, we always have a little section called Featured Club. And so as I'm out and about and listening and reading, clubs that have projects or something that they've done that's been really awesome, at least in my mind, as Gov, I have a chance to say, hey, we're going to highlight you, send me information, pictures, blah, blah, blah. So I sent, at that point, it was 7 different featured clubs to the people who loaded that into, but you can go back and look at past newsletters at that featured club, or go on the website for club news and updates, where clubs load in what they're doing, both fundraisers and projects. So yeah, there's access to getting the bigger story if you just are willing to wander around a little bit. And the big savior everywhere is Google. So you Google Rotary projects and watch what comes up. Okay, Rotary fundraisers, watch what comes up. Can be amazing what you find there.
Excuse me, Mike, thank you. If you send me that link, I will put it in the minutes for everyone.
Okay, you
Thank
betcha.
you.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments for Mike?
Yeah, how did you find the Managua Club? When I went looking for it, it was, the book said it was in the hotel and the hotel was under construction.
Well, it was under construction. That was 2008. When were you trying to look?
Probably 4 or 5 years after that.
Yeah, so maybe they were updating or whatever. Yeah, that's the thing about Rotary locators. Sometimes it doesn't have the latest information.
I claim credit for a makeup.
Yeah,
anyway.
absolutely. Yeah, your intention was good. And so that, we can fudge on that. Is it the truth? Yeah. But anyway, yeah, good makeup. But yeah, they were one of our partners, so it just made it to make the connection. Yeah, definitely.
Mike,
Anything else?
Mike,
Leslie.
I think we have time for one more.
Okay, but there may not be one, and that's fine. Yes, ma'am. Judy.
Just before I was coming here today, I happened to hear a piece about 2 Harvard students who apparently were really high tech and already had some kind of social network going. And when Ukraine just exploded, it occurred to them that they might be able to link people from the Ukraine with places where they could find housing across the world.
Mhm.
And so they set up this program called Ukraine Takes Shelter.
Mm.
And so they've actually been able to help people be placed all over the world just by this. I know we have RILA for the high school students for leadership,
Mhm.
but do we have anything on an international or national program for getting college students involved?
Well, Rotaract is generally our college, in the US, it's college-based. You go to the rest of the world where Rotaract is like huge, and it's like 18 to 35 or 40 is the age group, and a lot of times they're just community-based. So you get people, and some parts of the Rotary world, you've got to be kind of a certain age before you can join the Rotary Club. And so we've got a lot of young professionals who don't quite qualify age-wise to be able to enter. But Rotaract becomes the place where they can do their Rotary thing early on. It's huge in a lot of the world. We've got some Rotaract clubs in our district here and so forth that engage, the college students that age in being a part of our Rotary family. They now, this year, for the first time, they can apply for district grants. Rotaractors. So if they've got a great idea for some kind of they can come in and leverage grant system in our foundation as well. So we may see when we get together at the district level to look at all the grants that come in, maybe you guys will have one. Our Rotaract clubs have that right now to submit a grant, just like any other club in the district, which is awesome. So,
Will these students actually have ties to Airbnb
yeah.
and vacation rental by owner, and it's just amazing all the different things that they.
It's a different world and a lot of these young people have tremendous capability and talent to harness.
Thank you.
Like you said, sure. I
Thank
think
you.
we're done, Leslie.
Oh, Mike, thank you so much. And in appreciation for you being here today and sharing your information and expertise, we will be making a donation to the Williston Central School Connecting Youth Mentoring Program. So thank you so very much. And we're about to go into sharing time, which is a really special part of our meeting. So prior to